Oskaloosa City Council to order. Today is Monday, September 20th, 2021. We start with the invocation from Central Reformed Church, Assistant Pastor Marvin Canoe.
Mayor Crutchfeld, members of the City Council, ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to be here with you this evening. I grew up on a farm 5 miles north of Rose Hill when going to town meant coming to Oskaloosa. And I've had 6 zip codes in my life, and I've never lived more than 30 miles from Oskaloosa. You can see me later if you want to hear the full list. I worked for Cargill for 35 years, most of that in Eddyville, most of the time while I lived in New Sharon. And it occurs to me that I've driven past this building on Market Street thousands of times. So it's good to be with you here this evening. About 18 months ago, I retired from Cargill. I had this calling to become a pastor. And so I'm studying to become a commissioned pastor in the Reformed Church, and I'm 90% of the way through after about 3 years of study. So I'm just honored to have this privilege this evening. It seems to me that I'd like to share with you 3 admonishments, 2 that come from our Lord Jesus Christ's words and one from the Apostle Paul. And so Jesus wants us to experience unity, right? To be one with each other. He also wants us to hold firm and be obedient. Sometimes as leaders, there's a tension between sticking and staying with what I know is right while I need to cooperate with others who have their idea of what is right. So it's challenging. And Paul admonishes that we ought to do this in an all-in sort of fashion. Please let me read 3 little pieces of scripture, and then we'll have a prayer, okay? The first comes from John. It's chapter 17. And to set the stage, Jesus has just had the Last Supper. He's established the sacrament of communion, and he's on his way to be crucified. But he takes time to pray. Can you imagine? I've just had my last meal with my disciples. I'm on my way to shed my blood and die on the cross, and I'm stopping to pray. And he's praying for you. And in John 17 it says, I do not pray only for them, the disciples at that time. I pray also for those who will believe in me because of their message. Father, I pray that all of them will be one. Just as you are in me and I am in you, I want them also to be in us, and then the world will believe that you have sent me. I've given them the glory you gave me. I did this so they would be one, just as we are one. I will be in them just as you are in me, and I want them to be brought together perfectly as one. Jesus wants unity for us. He also says, and it's just backing up 3 chapters to John 14, those who love me will obey my teaching. Hence, I think that tension that comes up as you serve as leaders. So Paul admonishes in Romans how you ought to approach your jobs if you're leaders. Romans 12, verses 6 through 8 says this, that we all have gifts. They differ in keeping with the grace that God has given each of us. Do you have the gift of prophecy? Well, then use it in keeping with the faith you have. Is it your gift to serve? Then serve. Is it teaching? Then teach. Is it telling others how they should live? Then tell them. Is it giving to those who are in need? Then give freely. Is it being a leader? Then work hard at it. The New International Version says, do it diligently. The English Standard Version says, do it with zeal. Work hard at it. So, with that, will you join me in prayer? Heavenly Father, we give you glory, honor, and praise because you are worthy. And thank you for so many blessings that you've poured out on this city called Oskaloosa. Thank you for how it thrives in business, how it thrives in education, how it thrives socially. Thank you for the strong rural support and agriculture around here and the industry. You've blessed us so richly. And God, I pray now and appeal that each leader here, God, I just pray that they would seek your will seek to understand what you have created and planned, seek to serve with zeal and diligently. So grant them wisdom in those tough situations when there may be tension between unity and doing what they believe is right, to just give them confidence, boldness, and understanding to work together effectively, that they might do their part and Oskaloosa may be richly blessed for many years to come. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
You join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Burnett.
I am here.
Caligiuri.
Here.
Dross.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Addison.
Here.
Walling.
Here.
Yates.
Thank you. Next item up is the opportunity for community comments. This item is reserved to receive comments from the community for concerns whether or not they're included on the current agenda. Community is encouraged to speak before the mayor and city council. Asked to keep statements brief. Time will be limited to no more than 3 minutes. Any questions are to be asked of the city staff, council members, or the mayor prior to speaking to the full council, so that way concerns can be properly researched and answered away from the meeting. Comments are to be directed to the mayor and council only. Is there anyone who would like to speak tonight?
Wendell Campbell, 818 High Avenue East. Mayor, members of the council. Taking some time to process the city council meetings that occurred in June and July, the public hearing and subsequent meetings. And to stand before you today to say that I'm highly disappointed in the actions of those meetings would be an understatement. Comments by the city manager that the process was completely screwed up. Comments by even Councilman Walling saying, well, we screwed it up for everybody, have me completely disappointed in the decisions of the staff and the board. I've always lived under the belief that it's never too late to do the right thing. However, the decisions that were made, I feel that the process is completely broken and the right thing to be done for the citizens of this town was not accomplished. As I continued to listen to the council meeting that occurred on July 19th from home, I listened to the administrator of our rental housing inspection program give his update to his program. He spoke of communication with landlords and tenants, giving landlords the chance to correct deficiencies. Overall, just having dialogue with those that were involved in the process and the administration of this program. To be honest, I had to check and make sure that I was watching the Oskaloosa City Council meeting. Because in my experience, when we're talking about health and wellness of residents, in our town, we allow the city to correct the deficiencies quickly, charge the responsible individual, whether it be 4 to 6 months later, and really have no regard for the process of administering and communicating with those involved. As I consider the manner in which the screwed up snow ordinance was applied to me, I have to consider, are there other areas within our city that we take by the credo of, well, if we screw it up, let's just make sure we screw it up for everybody. When we talk of the future of housing in Oskaloosa, as I sit on the housing committee as the chair for the county, and we search for outside developers and investors to come to our community, am I to expect that the city would decide to treat them the same way as I was treated? After these most recent experiences, I don't know that in good faith that I can go outside of our community and recruit those to come into our municipality. If this is how the staff and council is going to treat an individual who spends time volunteering on city boards and commissions, one that's at times been one of their greatest supporters and one of their cheerleaders, then how are they going to treat an outside individual coming in? That being said, I feel that my personal convictions no longer align with the city's philosophy of operation. It would be easy for me to draft a letter and submit it out to the city council saying that I quit, but I don't feel that as a passionate member of our community, it would be right for me to do so. So I stand before you today and effective immediately, I would like to resign and step down as chairman of Planning and Zoning, and I respectfully vacate my seat for the Board of Adjustments. While I pride my time spent in the civil service to my community, I'm ultimately disappointed right now in the direction we're headed. Thank you.
You don't want any feedback, Wendell? Because I got some for you.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would care to speak tonight? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Next item is the consent agenda. These are items that are all considered routine in nature. I did want to bring the attention to item H, which is scheduling a public hearing on October 18th of 2021. That's considering levying a special assessment against property at 603 G Avenue West for demolition of an unsafe building. And then also item I. This is the resolution approving an agreement with the Iowa Department of Transportation for the completion of traffic study improvements. So, I think you're aware of it, but I want to bring it to your attention anyway that, from back in August of 2018, we had met and authorized a traffic study to be performed. The study was to improve the traffic efficiency and safety, and McClure Engineering was authorized to give us their recommendations, which include installing some new traffic signaling at the intersection of Market Street and C Avenue, and then also converting to 3-lane cross-section with continuous left turn lanes on A Avenue between Highway 432 and the East Corporate limits, and also Market Street between 2nd Avenue and 16th Avenue. So the city applied for and received funding assistance from the Iowa Department of Transportation to the tune of $639,000 to apply against an opinion of cost $991,000. And so this would just approve the resolution authorizing the mayor, city clerk, and city manager to execute the necessary documents to complete the agreement and to receive the funding. So with that, do we have a motion of support for the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Burnett.
Yes.
Calgery.
Yes.
Dross.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Addison.
Yes.
Walling.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Getting into the regular agenda. First item up is a resolution levying a special assessment against private property for weed cutting. There is a public hearing required for this. Certified notices were sent out to each property owner and a notice published in the Oskaloosa Herald. If approved, the property owner has 30 days from the time of filing with the Mahaska County Treasurer to pay for weed cutting in the city clerk's office. After the 30 days, it's assessed to the property taxes with a payment schedule accruing 9% interest. So I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion of support for this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Calgery.
Yes.
Dross.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Addison.
Yes.
Walling.
Yes.
Burnett.
Yes.
Okay. Next item, B, is to consider a resolution authorizing vacation and sale of the north-south and east-west alleys adjacent to 907 D Avenue West. Staff received the alley vacate request from Brian Thomas, acting on behalf of QAB Trust, who's purchasing the property at 907 D Avenue West. The request is for both the north-south and east-west alleys that are adjacent to the property. Applicant is interested in using the vacated alleys to allow additional space for the construction of a garage and meeting minimum setback requirements. The subject alleys are located in a residential R2 zoning district. Staff conducted a survey of the property owners with direct access to the alleys, as well as utility companies. 6 property owners were surveyed, 3 responses received. 1 response was not opposed to the request, but 2 were. And both of the opposed property owners indicated that they utilized the north-south alley to access their properties. One of the property owners included a letter explaining his opposition that's we have in our packet. There are existing utilities in the location that would require an access agreement. Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed the request at their meeting on September 8th of 2021 and recommended by a vote of 4-1 to approve the alley vacation and sale. And so this does require a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this tonight? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Staff has recommended that the council continue this until the next meeting. That we were informed that Mr. Thomas would be wanting to talk to the folks in opposition before we consider it. So do we have support for continuing this to the next meeting?
Yes.
Until October 18th?
Yeah, the second meeting in October.
Okay.
Oh,
I'll make a
Okay.
sorry.
Go ahead, Joe.
Okay. I'll make a motion to postpone until October 18th.
I'll second his motion.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jones,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Odison,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Burnett,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Next item up is item C. This is consider a resolution entering into a management agreement for the operation and maintenance of the Edmondson Golf Course. The City Council approved a previous management agreement with Harvest Point LLC and Matt Sherlock on October 17th of 2011. It was amended on February 21st of 2012, and the previous agreement would be terminated and then replaced with a new agreement with MK Golf Shops Incorporated. Based on the previous agreement and addendums, there are a few modifications here, 11 of them as listed in the agenda. The first one is replacing the Harvest Point as it transitions to MK Golf Shops. Article 1, modifying the term from 2012 to 2022, now to 2022 to 2032. Article 2 increases the amount to sublet the house from $50 to $100 a month. Article 3 requires an $8,500 per year payment with inflation adjustments using the CPIU Midwest index. Article 3, section referred to an outdated comparison system of the PGA performance track course condition. So that makes an adjustment there. Change the date for baseline course measurement from 2010 to 2021. Increase the payment for trash service from $300 to $325 a year. It also included language from a previous contract amendment to include this one. New language memorializing the termination of the current management agreement with Harvest Point LLC. So you'll notice that there's actually a signature on there for them to sign off on this. Exhibit A is updated to show capital plan improvements, and then Exhibit C that updates the insurance coverage limits, auto liability, etc. Do we have a motion supporting this change?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Moore,
Yes.
Odison,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Burnett,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Moving on to item D. It's the resolution approving an amendment to the 2080 agreement between Mahaska Community Recreation Foundation and the City of Oskaloosa. On June 10 of 2010, the City Council approved a 2080 agreement with MCRF, and this was to lease land for an urban park. While pursuing the insurance renewal, MCRF was unable to secure the ongoing coverage for the state park portion of the urban park unless the facility is staffed while open. As the city has the ability to add the state skate park to the existing coverage and under the umbrella of recreational immunity, MCRF has requested the council consider adding the skate park to the city's insurance coverage. On September 7 of 2021, the City Council met in a study session to discuss the addition, and council consensus was to proceed with amending the 2080 agreement and add only the skate park portion of the urban park to the city's coverage with certain requirements. Namely, the city will obtain and maintain the liability insurance for just the skate park portion. City will perform regular documented inspections of the skate park. If there are repairs needed, the city will complete and pay for the repairs and then invoice MCRF. MCRF will post rules regarding the skate park usage and safety at their expense, and if the city's insurer requests or requires additional safety or preventive measures, MCRF would complete them at their expense. And so that is the item. Do we have a motion of support for this as written?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Discussion.
Yes.
I would, yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Okay. In the packet, the amendment would need to be changed, would it not? In the packet here?
Based on,
This.
yes. Yeah, that's what I was gonna explain.
Oh, would you? Go ahead.
That's all right.
I'd like to propose a change based on conversations that have happened just the past few days. There was some concern that the
way paragraph 2 in the agreement was written with the inspections and repairs that would be potentially needed to be done, that the city would complete those and then invoice MCRF, and it would be their expense. MCRF, many of their projects, if not all of them, have a significant donation component to it. And I know many of the repairs, routine repairs and maintenance that happen at the urban park are done in that manner as well. So there's a request to at least give MCRF a notice to notify them of repairs that are needed, so you could potentially have that conversation rather than that being done and then working through that process later. So the handout you have in front of you, the requested language would be that the city would notify MCRF of deficiencies requiring the repairs and also the proposed corrective action prior to the work commencing. So it doesn't say that the city can't or won't complete the work, but it at least provides that opportunity for discussion before it's done. And then if the work is done by the city at their expense, then that would still be reimbursed by MCRF.
Would you like to make that a motion and to amend?
I can make that motion.
Okay.
Make the motion to amend it, amend the language according to the handout.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we've got a second. Any discussion on the amendment?
Yes. I appreciate the thought process behind it. My question would be, obviously, that the idea of MCRF wanting to do it is that they'll get it done at a substantial discount. That, I'm all for that. My concern would be is what happens if it doesn't happen within the time frame that the city thinks it ought to happen, or that the city and MCRF, God forbid, come to some conclusion that they don't agree to. When the city says this ought to be repaired, MCRF says, no, I'm not sure that needs to be done. Does the city go ahead and do it then? I mean, I don't see that. So I see the protection for MCRF. I'm not sure I see any protection for the city, and maybe I'm just being overcautious. I'm just asking the question. So, there are questions. There's two.
If anybody else wants to take a stab at it, that's fine. I guess I would weigh in. Clearly, as it's written, even with the amendment, the city would have the ability to proceed with repairs. And again, as agreed upon, if both parties do agree to the amendment, that would then be forwarded to MCRF to pay. And so
I kind of read it that way. I just want to make sure
And
everybody was in agreement to that. I'm good with that. So
Would there also be the component that if the repairs aren't made in a timely fashion, that we're basically in violation of our insurance policy, and
you'd have to close.
we'd have to close it
Yeah.
until the repairs are done?
Yeah. I just didn't know what needed to be in there, but I just want to make sure that there wasn't hard feelings, 6 months down the road to some misunderstanding. So
Well, I think that has to be dealt with when the city notifies MCR, hey, something needs to be repaired in the park.
Yeah.
Between those two identities need to work out whatever the type of repair is.
yeah, I mean, let's face it. In today's world, I don't anticipate any of that ever happening. But 6 years from now, who knows?
Right.
Yeah.
And you can also get in a situation where the repairs are really pretty bad that you might have to close the park.
Yeah.
So that's,
Yeah.
I don't see a problem with it.
So I mean, if you're good with the way it's written, I am.
I am. I think we would, again, in that communication with them as an entity, it's going to be MCRF, and then we're going to get together in a room, talk about we're on site, review what needs to be done. And I do think it's important to put an expectation of, hey, we need this within X number of days,
Yeah.
or else it's going to be an issue with insurance. I mean, we obviously would be in contact with EMC, Ratcliffe and Blake, and talk through some of those issues. So again, at the end of the day, if the agreement says we can perform as a city those repairs, that it's in there, we can proceed.
Cool.
And I see that timing being part of that proposed corrective action. And that's just a component of that
Yeah.
plan that gets, this is what we need to do.
Sounds good.
Okay.
And one thing, I do have one other thing. I didn't see on here, things, normal, keeping the park clean, that's the city? The who?
Yeah.
The mall? Oh, so we got 3 people.
When they clean it, the daily cleaning gets done by the mall because it's there.
Sherry, would you come up to the microphone?
Sorry.
Yeah.
The daily cleaning does get done by the mall, because they're there on the premises. surfaces, and they can see and they can go out more than once if needed, because the kids use it at different times.
Yeah.
So it just made sense to us to work that out with them
That's
all.
fine.
But it's our responsibility. We just communicate with them all.
Okay.
Any other commentary? Questions? So, okay, the first item is we need to do is to agree on this amendment. We have a motion and second for that. Roll call, please.
Coniston?
Yes.
Walling?
Yes.
Burnett?
Yes.
Calgery?
Yes.
Strauss?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. And then, the second thing is we have we already have a motion and a second then for the amendment to the 28E. So roll call, please.
Walling?
Yes.
Burnett?
Yes.
Calgery?
Yes.
Strauss?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Coniston?
Yes.
Okay, very good, that passes. That's just item E. This is to consider an ordinance rezoning property located at 703 South Market Street from UC Mixed Use Urban Corridor District and R2 Urban Family Residential District to a single UC Mixed Use Urban Corridor District. It's the second reading that we're doing. Confederated Builders and Marjorie Cunningham have submitted an application to rezone the property at 703 South Market Street. The property is vacant. It measures approximately 120 foot by 300 foot. It's split zoned with R2 zoning over roughly southern 1/3 and UC zoning over the northern 2/3. Property recently received site plan approval for a Pizza Hut restaurant. Other findings from the proposed rezoning include that, first of all, the split UC-R2 zoning on the property follows no identifiable boundary. It's complicating the site development due to the varying district regulations. Second, the proposed rezoning is consistent with the comprehensive plan. The site is located in a neighborhood service node, and the plan recommends mixed-use land use on that corridor. The rezoning is consistent with existing land use pattern, wouldn't result in any business encroachment into the neighborhood. Item 4, the change would not severely impact traffic, public facilities, natural characteristics, or change the population density. And number 5, the change does not constitute spot zoning. And so at the August 3rd meeting, Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing and voted to unanimously recommend approval to the City Council. Staff concurs with the recommendation, and we approved it on our first reading. Do we have a motion of support for the second reading?
So,
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this? Roll call.
Burnett?
Yes.
Calgery?
Yes.
Strauss?
Yes.
Moore?
yes.
Coniston?
Yes.
Walling?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Moving on. Okay. Moving on to item F. And this is to consider approval of pay application number 16. It's in the amount of $1,004,159 to Graphite Construction Group for the Early Childhood Education and Recreation Center. It's application number 16. The pay request in total, first was $1,116,345.85, is being reduced by $112,186.85, pending receipt of backup and resolution of outstanding issues. The completed work is primarily associated with concrete, thermal and moisture, doors and windows, finishes, specialties, equipment, and mechanical. Total cost breakdown is listed in our in the packet here. Staff also received change order number 6. It increases the contract in the amount of $15,065, this being related to toilet accessories, work, an actuator, relocating the aquatics video board, and adding a soffit to the competition pool wall. So there's a long list of the activity to date before you get down to pay request number 16. Do we have a motion of support?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. Comments?
I was glad to see a deduct for once on an actual deduct on the requested amount. I mean, we've talked about it for a few months now, some of the issues that are outstanding, and again, that doesn't not as much as I'd like to see it withheld, but again, we need to pay them for the work done.
And again, the pay applications have gone through a couple iterations. This was the final. So there was some more back and forth even before what you saw. So upwards, I think, of 1.6 initially. And then it's now at about 1 million. So that continues to be a concern of ours, obviously, is we want to make sure that the subs and the contractor get paid for the work that is appropriate and is within spec. And then anything else that might be questionable or is up for debate, we're continuing to work through those issues, and the architect is responsible for withholding those payments in these pay applications. So that's what you've seen presented tonight.
Okay. Appreciate all the work you've put into this.
Yeah, if it wasn't that Mike is bird dogging this very closely, I agree with Bob.
Yeah.
But next pay app, I'm probably not going to go along if we haven't got a final conclusion to what we're going to do. Because you got to stop it somewhere.
Okay. Other comments? Roll call, please.
Caligiuri,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Addison,
Yes.
Wally,
Yes.
Yes.
Burnett.
Okay, that passes. Gets us to the end of our regular agenda. So there's an opportunity to receive reports from city staff, city manager, anything?
I would say just a quick heads up, the staff are working on capital projects, and what we're seeing isn't a surprise for anyone. Is that pricing has increased significantly for equipment, and projects we expect will also be increasing. And so that's putting some pretty significant strain on the available resources that we have. So we're either going to have to cut back on projects or again continue the exploration of other revenue sources. And year in, year out, we talk about franchise fees, and what we've done to pay for the vehicles for police and fire with cash is franchise fee funding. And so on everybody's natural gas and electric bills, that percentage gets paid into the city, and that's what we're using it for, essentially, is public safety and some other economic development type activities. That is not capped. It's not at its max. It's stayed at the same rate since it was first implemented. Each year we talk about it at the budget meeting, should this be the year that we talk about an increase to that particular fee? And I would say yes. I think we're there, at least some initial review of things. And so that fee is currently at 3% for residential, commercial, and I believe it's at 1.2 for industrial. But you have to keep in mind that it might be at that percentage, you have to take 1% off because we have a local option sales tax. So really the franchise fee is about 2% for residential and commercial users and 0.2% for industrial. So again, I think we can get into more of this during the budgeting process and the capital improvement planning process, but I would strongly suggest the council consider an incremental increase in that fee, whether it be 1% a year or something, till it gets to that 5%, so a 2% increase. And that would help alleviate some of the issues that we're seeing with the funding gaps to pay for police vehicles and fire apparatus. So just a heads up, we're in the budgeting process now. That's coming up quickly. I know there are a few of you on council going, good luck to the rest of you.
Enjoy.
But that's a reality that we're facing.
We
so
gotta stick together.
You'll get a
Half off the
sandwich.
table here, man.
Yeah.
that's all I had, Mayor.
Okay, yeah. Thanks a lot. Moving on. City clerk, anything?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, city council members. Bob, how about you?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, Joe?
One thing on our consent agenda, and one item about the 3-lane conversion. Is there going to be a public announcement when that time comes?
Yeah.
I mean, don't wake up one day and the streets painted differently.
So,
That's why I asked the mayor to point it out this time, and Mike will tell you how many more times it's going to go in front of us. But I want to be real transparent. They should know already. We've talked about it enough, but we all know how that goes. So you might just want to keep reading it. There's still the people walking and go, why, where did it come from? But it's been going on for, 2.5 years now.
Yeah, it's been studied a few years ago,
When the DOT
and
first came to us.
correct. Yeah,
It was, in their opinion, the best deal.
there were a few study sessions on that even before the plan was finalized. Yeah, so the short answer is yes, there would be notification. We still have, as a group, staff to present to you the plans, the specification, kind of the scheduling, all of the normal stuff that we do with a road improvement project. So there'll be at least, I think, setting a hearing, holding a hearing, and then once the bids come back, that's when be kind of the final here as city council notice to the public. Then through the public letting process with the DOT, they'll require us to do notifications, and we'll put information out on the website and the paper, all the usual things.
My take on it is I'm not going to apologize to anybody for making our community safer. I'm just not going to do it. That's what this is about. So.
Your turn's coming. Anything else, Joe?
Nope.
Okay. Diane?
No, thank you.
Okay.
No,
Scotty?
thank you.
Tom?
The next EMA 911 meeting is October 21st at 6:30 at the Conservation Facility. And just a comment on Mike's talk about the franchise fees, and I won't be here, but I urge that you talk to business about that. We need to support business. The little guy's getting it, but I'm just saying, gotta be cautious, you know. And the third thing is, I'm Steve on safety, but Joe and I all question this 3-lane, and you know it's going to work, but it's going to put that traffic out north of Block and south of Block. But after the construction around McDonald's and all that, I question it again. But now with the coffee shop, it's going to be interesting.
Yes, it is.
I mean, if everybody will learn to use the 3rd lane right, we may have to hold classes because they don't do it right on North Market. If you do it right, it works very good. I came down North Market southbound today in the middle lane for 3 or 4 blocks, which is legal. You know, you gotta think somebody can pull in that and want to turn, so you gotta let them do that. But you've got to use that middle lane as it's intended. And for fire and police, it will leave them a lane to go across there. That's all I got.
Okay. Steve?
I'm good.
Okay.
Well, that's a great thing to be
not how
able to
that's supposed to
say.
work.
I'm telling you, this whole thing with traffic drives me crazy. So people that haven't lived anywhere else have a difficult time. I guess I'm not good. I'm going to say it. If you've been in Branson, Missouri, which has, I don't know, 100% more, oh hell, way more than 100% more traffic than we've got, they've got 3 lanes through that town. And it works perfectly fine in Branson, Missouri. If you've been in Kansas City or Minneapolis or Chicago, it's you'll see it there in places where have more traffic. So to Tom's point, we just have to get used to change. And I happen to be one of these rare people in today's society that believe the experts. I tend to believe science, God forbid. And the experts tell us that this is safer. So I'm going with the experts on this one. So there you go.
Were you ever in Branson 40 years ago when they didn't have them?
No.
It was a mess.
Was it really? Yeah, no, it wasn't. I can't
You
tell you it was.
spent your whole day downtown.
And the chamber loved it. So,
Yeah,
you couldn't get out of your
That's
car.
true, yeah.
You couldn't get, well, you could get out of your car and leave it, but
I've got nothing else to add. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Sounds like it stopped raining.